The past 3 weeks, we've been discussing exercise-related components to fitness: cardio, resistance training, and flexibility. But guys that focus exclusively on the exercise component will most likely fail in dropping body fat. Working out is not the most crucial step. The crucial component to shedding fat is the food you eat. It's common for guys to pinch their stomach and say, "I want to lose more fat around here." But unfortunately, there's no such thing as spot reduction. We can't simply target one area we want to lose fat from when exercising. You could do 1,000 sit-ups and not see a difference in your six-pack. Fat loss is an accumulative effect. Going back to our first module, what would be more effective in decreasing your waistline would be to increase your cardio and creating a calorie deficit from your diet. You'll burn a lot more calories with 30 minutes of interval training or a vigorous weight training bout than you would during crunches for the same amount of time. Clients of mine goals have often been to get toned. But in actuality, all of our muscles are already toned. They may be covered under a layer of fat, but they're toned. A more fitting goal would be to decrease my body fat by 5% in 12 weeks. Of course, you're going to want to integrate resistance training to increase lean body mass, increase muscular strength and endurance, and potentially improve posture and flexibility. But there's no such thing as toning or spot reduction. Men's predisposition to store body fat is the lower abdomen. With women, it's the hips, and this is typically the last place fat stores are removed. I've witnessed this phenomenon with my clients and experienced it firsthand when training for bodybuilding competitions. To truly become lean and tighten the midsection, you need to follow healthy, habitual eating guidelines in combination with a consistent workout program. Let's start off at looking at a caloric intake and macronutrient ratios to understand how we create calorie deficits and optimize performance for nutrition. And then later, I'll introduce you to more practical approaches. What I advise for most people that want to decrease body fat is to consume fewer calories by multiplying their body weight by 10. Therefore, if you weigh 185 pounds, you'll want to aim for about 1,850 calories per day. In theory, you could lose weight by eating pizza every day. Using the 185-pound man, he could eat 6 slices of pizza, which equates to about 1,850 calories. If this person was burning more than 1,850 calories per day, he could potentially lose weight by eating this way. Calories are calories, but you won't be losing weight in a healthy way, feel energetic, or maintain lean body mass. To accomplish this, you need to be cognizant of the macronutrients you ingest. The macros include protein, carbohydrate, and fat. They all serve a purpose with metabolic function and energy pathways. The general recommendation for overall health for persons that are active is 20 to 30% protein, 50 to 55% carbs, and 20 to 30% fat. Protein and carbs contain 4 calories per gram, and fat is more calorie dense, containing 9 calories per gram. Referring to the 1,850 calorie example, the optimal ratio equates to 370 to 555 calories coming from protein, 925 to 1,018 calories coming from carbs, and 370 to 555 calories derived from fat. From here, it's a matter of logging your food to determine where you stack up. I love the Fitbit for this purpose. Like the FitRx online program and mobile app, the Fitbit leverages technology to assist you in reaching your fitness goals. This little gadget can be worn as a wristband, which are the Force and Flex models, or carried in your pocket, which are the Zip and One models. They all track your daily activity and total steps taken. This eliminates a lot of the guesswork with losing body fat, and viewing your stats can help with motivation. Not only does the Fitbit track the amount of calories you burn, but you can also log your nutritional intake each day by using the website or wireless and automatically synced mobile app. Then your numbers are staring you right in the face: calories expended and calories consumed for the day. If you're not averaging a caloric deficit of 500 per day, you're going to struggle with your weight loss. With FitRx, I give a jumpstart tutorial on how to use the Fitbit to its full capabilities and how to incorporate it into the program. Well, let's get back to the macros now. Carbohydrates' primary role is to serve as an energy source. Despite what some people believe, carbs are not the enemy, as long as you're obtaining them from the right sources and nutritional timing is considered. Later on, I'll talk about carb cycling strategies that are effective for weight loss, but let's first review carb guidelines that are more sustainable for the long term. The reason carbs have gotten a bad rap by some self-acclaimed nutrition experts is that they influence a certain hormone in our body called insulin. Insulin is released after we eat food and shuttles nutrients into our fat and muscle cells. The amount of insulin levels that are released is dictated by the amount and source of carbohydrate. All carb sources have been assigned a rating called glycemic index, abbreviated GI. This classifies a food by how high and for how long it raises blood glucose. The reference most scales use is either white bread or glucose with a GI of 100. The higher the GI, the quicker the food is digested and the more the insulin levels are spiked. This can cause a potential increase in fat stores. Higher glycemic carbs also cause a rapid rise and drop in blood sugar levels, which makes it difficult to sustain energy throughout the day. Therefore, it's important to consume carbs that are low to moderate GI, not exceeding ones that are rated in the mid-50s. These foods take longer to digest, slowly increase blood glucose, and in turn stimulate less insulin. You can download a glycemic index list of foods to the right of your screen and refer back to this scale. In general, you'll want to consume plenty of vegetables as they are low in carbohydrate and provide vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients. The fruit sources I gravitate towards are berries, any kind are good, apples, pears, grapefruits, and grapes. The best kind of starches or complex carbs are sweet potato or yam, oatmeal, brown rice, quinoa, whole wheat pasta or tortillas, and Ezekiel bread. The one exception to eating low glycemic carbs would be post-workout. After you work out, you do want an insulin spike to drive nutrients into your muscle cells for recovery purposes. This restores muscle glycogen, which is the stored carbohydrate found in our muscles. Post-workout is when you can get away with having a baked potato, white rice, bread with honey or jam, or breakfast cereals. Now, if you melted in the gym for 20 minutes or did a yoga session, that won't justify a high glycemic carb afterward. Not only is the GI important to consider when selecting carb sources, but we also need to be aware of glycemic load, which also influences insulin levels. Glycemic load is the total amount of carbs you're consuming in one sitting. Therefore, if you had a baked potato that contains 63 grams of carbohydrate, you'll get a fairly drastic insulin spike versus eating one apple comprised of 17 grams, which is roughly 4 times less carbs. Glycemic load impacts blood sugar levels regardless of GI. For example, you could eat one slice of watermelon that has a high GI, 72 to be exact, but a typical serving of watermelon, 1 or 2 slices, doesn't contain much carbohydrate. So the glycemic load will be low. This wouldn't impact your insulin levels to a high degree. But if you consume 5 whole apples in one sitting, even though the GI is low, 38, there would be a high glycemic load. Consequently, a high insulin spike would occur, which again would most likely lead to fat storage. Other fruits that have gotten a bad rap because of their high GI now can be crossed off your taboo list, as they have been found to have a low glycemic load. They include carrots, papaya, pineapple, cantaloupe, and pumpkin. That's a good thing because these fruits and veggies are loaded with important nutrients. Let's get serious. Nobody ever got fat by eating carrots. A strategy you can use for blunting the insulin spike and rapid rise in blood sugar levels is to couple your carbs with protein and fat sources. For those of you eating only cereal or oatmeal in the morning, try having a small handful of nuts or a protein shake with it. And you'll want to avoid pastries and bagels and replace this with healthier breakfast alternatives. Fiber is a type of carb, like sugars and starches, but doesn't contribute any calories since the body doesn't break it down. The fiber in an apple or a slice of whole grain bread doesn't raise blood glucose levels because it's not digested. The grams of fiber can actually be subtracted from the total grams of carbohydrate you are eating. So if you view the nutrition facts on a food label with 23 grams of carbs containing 10 grams of fiber, your net carb intake is 13 grams. Fiber has been proven to reduce the risk of coronary heart disease, lower total cholesterol and LDLs, the bad cholesterol, and no doubt can help with satiety and portion control. The daily recommended intake for fiber is 38 grams per day for men. The last concept I want to discuss in regards to carbs is carb cycling. This can be a viable solution in dropping body fat and weight loss, but isn't realistic to follow for long periods of time. Diets are fads and are not sustainable. Nutrition plans work best for the long run. When restricting carbs, you also become less energetic, more irritable, and lose concentration. Carb cycling is effective nonetheless. When using this method for competing for bodybuilding events, I reached 4% body fat. But being this low in body fat is not a healthy state to be in for long durations. Carb cycling diets are configured with high and low carb days that are cycled throughout the week. Typically, you follow 3 days of low carbs, perhaps 75 to 100 grams, followed by a high carb day, that might be 300 grams, and then repeat. During the low carb days, your body is more inclined to use stored body fat, as you're limiting the amount of glucose available to fulfill energy requirements. And you keep your protein levels up to preserve the lean body mass during the process. This is the same concept the Atkins diet is based on, emphasizing high amounts of protein, healthy fats, and veggies. On a high carb day, you replenish your muscle glycogen stores, plus give yourself a mental break from the dieting. Eventually, your body will adapt to carb cycling, so I only recommend doing this for 8 to 12 weeks before following a more practical nutrition plan. Protein is another macronutrient class and helps support muscle tissue by supplying amino acids. It also increases metabolism and contributes to you feeling full. Without adequate amounts of protein, you wouldn't be able to build muscle, and you may even reach a catabolic state, where you break down your hard-earned muscle tissue to fuel activity. There are 22 different amino acids, and more than half can be synthesized from the human body. They're commonly called non-essential amino acids because they don't need to be consumed from the diet. Arginine and glutamine are examples of these. However, 9 of the amino acids are essential, such as leucine and tryptophan, because the body cannot manufacture them, and they must be obtained through the diet. A high-quality complete protein is a protein with an amino acid similar to that needed by the body that consists of all the essential amino acids. These foods are usually of animal origin. A low-quality incomplete protein is deficient in one or more of the amino acids and is usually of plant origin. Animal origin proteins typically have higher biological values, what is called BV, than plant origin sources and are proportionally absorbed to a higher degree. For example, whey protein, a dairy source, has a BV of 104, meaning 100% of the protein is absorbed. Eggs also have a high usability with a BV of 100, whereas soy protein, a plant source, is only rated a 74. Vegans and vegetarians get all the essential amino acids by coupling incomplete protein sources together. By consuming, for instance, grains and legumes during the day, you can ensure you're receiving all the essential amino acids. Rice protein is a high-quality protein powder with a BV of 83. A good brand I like is Sun Warrior. Pea protein, on the other hand, only has a BV of 65. I'm a big proponent of animal proteins for building or maintaining lean body mass. The best sources to incorporate in meal plans are whey and casein protein powders, eggs, the whites with maybe 1 or 2 yolks, fish such as cod, ahi, tuna, and salmon, chicken breasts, 99% lean turkey burger, non-fat Greek yogurt, fat-free cottage cheese. On occasion, maybe every 3 to 4 weeks, lean steaks such as flank or filet mignon. And we'll discuss protein powders more in the next module of Total Body Blueprint. For maintaining lean body mass, you'll want to consume a minimum of 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. That's 126 grams for a person that weighs 185. If your goal is to increase muscle, then the National Strength and Conditioning Association suggests that you increase your protein intake to 2.2 grams. That equates to 185 grams for a 185-pound individual, like the old bodybuilding recommendation of 1 gram per pound of body weight per day. The last class of macronutrients is fats or lipids and carry out a variety of functions for the body, including hormone production such as testosterone, energy storage, insulation, cell signaling, and provide a protective cushion and structural support. Therefore, it's essential that fat should constitute 20 to 30% of your daily caloric intake. Healthy fats contain 1 or more double bonds in their chemical structure. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats are examples of these and are needed for these normal bodily functions. Lipids also form high-density lipoproteins, HDLs. This is the good cholesterol that protects against heart disease. On a side note, HDLs can be increased with exercise and with weight loss in general. Your body needs some fat to burn fat. If you deprive your body of fat, it will sense this restriction and go into survival mode by holding on to fat as a protective mechanism. Healthy fat sources include nuts such as almonds, cashews, and walnuts, nut butter like peanut and almond, vegetable oils such as olive, canola, and sunflower, avocado, olives, flaxseed, fish, tofu, and soy milk. Saturated fats, the unhealthy fats, should be limited to 10% of your daily calories. These fats contain no double bonds and can cause high levels of cholesterol or unfavorable ratios of lipoproteins, such as the increased LDLs. Food to avoid that contain high amount of saturated fat include hydrogenated oils or trans fats, butter, bacon, sausages, fried foods like French fries and fried chicken, pastries, candy bars, and various cheeses, pizza, and ice cream. All the stuff Americans are consuming way too much of. Now that you know what foods to integrate into your nutrition plans and in what quantity and ratios, we need to address nutritional timing, another variable to be cognizant of when establishing healthy eating habits. If we eat too much during a certain time period, your body can't absorb all the nutrients all at once, and the surplus calories can be stored as body fat. Staggering out your meals throughout the day will provide a sustained energy release for maintaining blood sugar levels. You'll also increase your metabolism through the thermic effect of food, as your body requires calories to process food. I propose eating every 2 to 4 hours for these reasons. If it's a shake or a snack, you can eat again 2 hours later, but after a larger meal, wait 3 to 4 hours again before eating. This comes out to be about 5 meals per day. Now, this viewpoint is debatable among people that are proponents of intermittent fasting. Following this method, you would eat all the calories for the day within an 8-hour time frame. The nutritional timing is not important, only the time span you eat it in. Intermittent fasting does in fact have several health benefits, including giving your digestive system a break and decreasing inflammation of these organs. In theory, your body is then better able to assimilate nutrients. Some studies have shown incredible weight loss results with both 16-hour fasts, where you fast Monday through Friday, and then resume normal eating schedules on the weekends, and 24-hour fasts, which you do twice per week. If you're going to introduce this concept into your lifestyle, I would suggest by starting with 2 16-hour fasts per week. Fasting isn't recommended for people that are client-facing or holding executive-type roles, as your energy and focus can indeed suffer. Most of us will need to follow a more regular nutrition plan for the long term. Going back to a normal eating schedule, I suggest dividing your protein intake among the 5 meals. Let's go back to our 185-pound man that wants to maintain muscle by eating 126 grams of protein per day. He would need approximately 25 grams of protein per meal, and he'd definitely want to have one of these servings post-workout, as it will provide the amino acids necessary to repair muscle fibers. People have constantly asked me, what's best to eat before and after working out? Post-workout, I highly recommend a whey protein, one that's easily and quickly digested. You want to take this with either a carb replenishment drink, which we'll discuss in the next module on supplements, or a high glycemic index food source such as a banana, baked potato, bread with jam, or white rice. Any of these carb sources will restore muscle glycogen. Very small amounts of fat should be consumed post-workout, as this slows down the digestive process, and we want the nutrients shuttled into the muscle cells fast. Pre-workout, you'll definitely want a carb source, as this will supply you with the energy and allow you to train at a higher intensity. Carbs with a low to moderate glycemic index are best. They'll be digested slower and provide sustained blood glucose levels. Some examples of good pre-workout meals include Ezekiel bread with almond butter and non-fat Greek yogurt, protein smoothie with spinach and frozen berries, veggie omelet with apple wedges, and oatmeal with nuts and berries. The majority of your carb intake should be ingested before and after exercise to fuel your workout and for recovery purposes. The remainder should be consumed earlier in the day to provide energy. With all these guidelines, you can begin to feel overwhelmed, and it can be hard to construct a healthy and effective nutrition plan. After all, we don't eat macronutrients, we eat food. Rather than measuring food, I champion a more practical approach in food consumption. The basic guideline that incorporates the concepts I've been teaching throughout the module is to try and consume the following most meals. 1 palm of protein, which will be about 30 grams of protein, 1 fist of veggies, 1 fist of fruit, starch or whole grains such as an orange, sweet potato, or quinoa, 1/4 cup healthy fats like nuts, nut butter, oil, or avocado, and 1 big glass of water. To summarize the nutrition components, the 5 most important things to consider for fat loss are: 1. Gradually decrease calories to create a calorie deficit. 2. Make sure you're losing weight in a healthy way by increasing veggies to get more vitamins and minerals your body needs. Replace processed grains with greens. 3. Eat less sugars and starches, as they can increase hormones that lead to fat gain. Consume carbs that are of a low to moderate glycemic index, such as an apple or brown rice. 4. Support muscle tissue by increasing lean protein intake, with chicken, fish, or vegetarian sources, for example, and consume at least 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight each day. And 5. Replace bad fats, the saturated fats, with healthy ones, such as fish oils and nuts. To the right of your screen, you can download a sample menu plan that ties all these principles together, along with a grocery list that provides all the healthy food sources we discussed. You can also download healthy recipes for meals that are easy to make and taste delicious. Until next week, try integrating one of the 5 important nutrition strategies into your lifestyle. Thanks for joining me today, and stay tuned for next week's module.